Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Karin Helmstedt.
Hi there, and welcome to our highlights edition, which includes these and other topics. Avatar's Adieu. TwinKomplex is a new internet game featuring real actors. Luxury living, featuring a fantastic Art Nouveau home in Brussels. And Swedish souvenir Dala horses are a top Scandinavian export. German fashion is hip and German design is top of the line. That's the message German Vogue is trying to get through with its latest initiative called the Vogue Salon. 4 talented young designers who produce and work here in Germany were chosen for this special platform at the Fashion Days in Zurich, Switzerland. And one of them was Bulgarian-born Vladimir Karaleev, who founded his own label right here in the capital in 2005.
Clothes that look like they're straight out of a sketchbook. Vladimir Karaleev's 2012 Spring-Summer collection at the Zurich Fashion Days featured boxy shapes, elegantly draped and free-flowing, as well as ripped seams left to dangle. The young designer loves exploring the unfinished look. It's experimental, but also wearable fashion. The 30-year-old is one of the most promising talents in the German fashion scene. It's almost showtime. Final checks have to be made, but the work of the designer is already done.
Just before the curtain goes up, it's always very exciting. This time it's so well organized that nothing can really go wrong. But it's still pretty tense.
Vladimir Karaleev usually chooses his own models, but this time a team from a fashion magazine has taken charge. He uses the time for a chat with fellow designer René Stock. They are 2 of the young talents who are being supported this year by German Vogue. The others on the catwalk in Zurich are Berlin designer Michel Sonntag and German-French designer duo Augustin Teboul. Vogue's editor-in-chief is behind the talent initiative.
There's this idea that Germany is full of badly dressed women and there are no good designers. But people who say that have no idea. They don't know what they're talking about. But I do. And I wanted to show that Germany is home to good design and promising young designers.
This is Vladimir's Berlin studio. The ripped edges of the fabric will stay as they are. He doesn't draw his designs, he creates them directly on the dummy by wrapping fabric around it like a sculptor carving a new piece. It's a technique known as moulage, a highly intuitive process of design.
I like to experiment and to surprise myself. I'm very comfortable working with fabrics and giving them shape. I like the creative process. I'm most inspired when I'm working.
An artistic process with wearable results. He creates around 700 items of clothing every year by hand. Once he's happy with the look, Vladimir Karaleev only needs 15 minutes to complete a simple design. He's planning to move some production to his native Bulgaria. He says he's struggling to keep pace with demand.
It's not an art. Fashion only works when it's worn. It's a blend of functionality, commerce, and design. All of that needs to come together.
Vladimir sells his clothing around the world. He has a strong following in Japan. 14 shops stock his products there. In Germany, there's just 1. He says that's why he's glad to have the support of German Vogue.
Initially, I was completely surprised, but I see it as a seal of approval. It's important to be accepted, and as far as I'm concerned, Vogue is the ultimate authority. If you have Vogue on your side, then you know you've made it.
This was his very first collection. Born in Sofia, Karaleev came to Berlin aged 19 to study fashion.
I couldn't imagine working in fashion. It was like becoming a cosmonaut. It was something that happened in Paris or Italy. There was fashion design in Bulgaria, but to be honest, it was a bit shabby.
Ganz ehrlich, ganz schäbig.
The autumn-winter collection is called Principles of Disarrangement. It was Vladimir Karaleev's first appearance at the Berlin Fashion Week, and it earned him a lot of plaudits. In earlier years, he'd showcased his fashion far away from the mainstream, in galleries and at exhibitions. Now he has a reputation to live up to.
Vladimir has a very strong inner voice. Of all the designers I chose, he's the most conceptual. He only designs on the dummy. That means it's a very emotional process, the way he designs.
Vladimir Karaleev's first show in Switzerland is a resounding success. If everything goes according to plan, he'll soon be a household name.
Well, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, but the enormous popularity of computer games and now of social network games has meant that play is more and more accepted as a vital part of adult recreation. Last year, the hit online game Farmville had some 80 million players at its height. That's roughly equal to the entire population of Germany. And while that game relies on animated figures to keep it going, a brand new game from Berlin called TwinKomplex takes a more realistic approach and employs real flesh and blood actors. Euromaxx reports.
How nice. It's you. So you want to be an agent?
No, it's not the latest James Bond film. It's TwinKomplex. Players become agents at an organization called DIA and are plunged into the secret world of spies.
People are going to keep playing because they're immersed in a secret society. It's intriguing. Players won't really know what it is. It's a secret society, a secret service without a state that wants to pursue good causes. For example, whales, the rainforest. After a while, they discover this secret service is special, like WikiLeaks, and shadows lurk everywhere.
Martin Burkhardt is the brains behind the ambitious project. He's turned the idea into a business and has a team of game developers based in Berlin's former Tempelhof Airport. It's the perfect setting for a thriller, but the inspiration behind the game came from home.
My son drew me into it, even though it's not really something people my age do. But I was captivated. I enjoy anything that has to do with technology, and I delved very deeply into the gaming world.
Players have to find a missing DIA agent, but they don't have to work their way through level after level of computer animation. They have to crack the case from their desks, for example, by using Google Maps. Items of evidence like this diary can be sent to the lab for DNA analysis. Agents can also scour police computers.
What game are you playing?
It's all acted, but the boundaries between the virtual and real world are blurred. Players can communicate with each other and pass on information. TwinKomplex will even send updates to your phone.
It's all about the users communicating and creating little teams. Social interaction is the aim of the game, in a way.
What happened in here?
The protagonists aren't avatars, but real people played by real actors. They're filmed by a camera team and sometimes film themselves in the style of amateur YouTube clips. Martin Burkhardt directs the films. The lead female character is Virginia, played by the American actress Christine Utterberg. She's on the hunt for the missing agent and joins forces with the player.
Where are you?
There's no script for TwinKomplex. The actors improvise.
It gives you a freedom that you normally don't get as an actor. You're given more freedom to make choices and to do things in a different way that normally you don't get to.
The market for social games is huge. A quarter of the 800 million Facebook users play social games, and their numbers are growing. Games are usually kept simple. A few clicks here and there, and the user earns a reward. But social gaming expert Sebastian Soika says more sophisticated games are emerging.
The latest trend in social gaming is more complex games, ones designed for people who have played before. Games that are more demanding, where there's more depth.
Games like TwinKomplex. But if the game's too demanding, it could be a turn-off.
I think TwinKomplex could turn a profit, but I doubt whether it's possible to turn TwinKomplex into a game for the masses.
The game's makers are confident it will be a hit. They've invested over €500,000 and are hoping to sign up 100,000 players. TwinKomplex will be available in German, English, and Spanish. It's free to sign up. Players can purchase in-game extras. That's how the company hopes to make money.
TwinKomplex is a labyrinth, and we lead people into this labyrinth, and we do it in a way that others have not before. And we can see that it has a very magnetic effect.
It's time to get started.
The makers hope the secretive world of TwinKomplex will be a success story, one that could continue indefinitely. They've already filmed the first season. More are being planned.
We'll see each other again.
And now we're off to the Belgian capital, Brussels, which was one of the important centres of Art Nouveau architecture at the turn of the 20th century. One of the biggest names in Art Nouveau architecture was that of Belgian Viktor Horta, who departed from traditional building styles to embrace new materials that reflected Europe's industrialization, such as iron, glass and steel. Well, 17 buildings designed by Horta still stand in Brussels today, many of them used as cafes or museums, but one of them still has the status of private home, and we were lucky enough to get a tour.
Like a masterpiece cast in stone, the Excel district in the heart of Brussels is home to street after street of stunning Art Nouveau properties. The unassuming facade conceals an architectural gem. This is the home of real estate agent Michel Gilbert.
Bonjour, bienvenue.
The house was designed by the Art Nouveau legend Viktor Horta in 1903 for a Brussels lawyer. Michel Gilbert bought it 5 years ago for €3 million.
Everyone who steps in here stops and is totally captivated when they look around. The house enthralls me every single day, and I count myself very lucky.
The staircase is the centerpiece of the property, which has a total floor space of more than 1,000 square meters. The iron balustrade and the glass ceiling give the space an airy feel.
It's a magical place. I just don't have the words to describe it. The staircase is overpowering. It's a scene of beauty. It's not just inviting, it's also generous. Light floods the entire room. It's a unique house, and I love it.
Beauty comes at a price. The building had to be painstakingly restored, and every change had to be approved by the conservation authorities. Some of Belgium's top experts advised Michel Gilbert.
It's a privilege for me as an architect to work in a house that has so much style.
Sometimes, Gilbert rents part of the building for opulent receptions and parties. But he says he can never truly relax when he does.
High heels are banned, especially if they don't have a rubber sole. That would be just disastrous for the house. They leave scratches all over the parquet floor and the marble.
The dining room also has some modern luxuries. The light fitting was made especially by a French designer. A perfect addition to the original Art Nouveau furniture. His favorite room is the living room, which he calls the Red Salon. It's here that he can indulge his passion for Art Nouveau. Michel Gilbert now owns 4 Viktor Horta properties. And his children are also catching the bug.
My youngest daughter said to her uncle, to buy a Horta house, you have to be rich and totally crazy about Horta. And there's only one person like that, Daddy.
Stylish living in a 100-year-old architectural masterpiece. Michel Gilbert has made his dream come true in his luxurious Brussels home.
Berlin's new international airport is currently under construction just southeast of the German capital, under the direction of the renowned architectural firm Gerkan Mark and Partners. And it's not just the architecture when it's all done that will make it stand out, but also the logo. 3 simple red letters, BER, are the work of one Berlin design agency, which is also showing the way forward with tailor-made signage for the entire airport complex.
Amidst the hustle and bustle of airports, signs that help you get your bearings are crucial. Not least because they can be understood by everyone. The new Berlin-Brandenburg Airport will be featuring the familiar symbols for departures and arrivals, restrooms, and local transport links. Although the pictograms here do have their own unique style. Like all the other signs and symbols at the new airport, they were designed by Matthias Dietz and his agency Realgestalt.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance, the opportunity to create the image for the capital city's airport. Berlin is not only the capital of Germany, it's also a major center of creativity, so we're proud to be behind its new look.
Pictograms are an ancient art form. Graphic designer Otto Eicher revolutionized them in the 1970s. He devised standards like today's restroom symbols. In 1972, he created symbols for each of the sporting disciplines at the Munich Olympics. To this day, pictogram designers across the world base their ideas on his creations.
Instead of reinventing, a lot of things simply need to be used smartly so that you get a coherent picture. Above all, it has to work. Our job is not to decorate the airport, but to make it easy to use and understand.
The airport is scheduled to open next June, and it will be some time yet until all the signs are installed. The logo is already visible to the public. BER. The 3 red letters spell out the airport's code as defined by the International Air Transport Association. Realgestalt spent weeks looking for a creative solution for the logo.
We don't design elements on a whim. You need a concept that has content and logic. The IATA code is BER. Those 3 letters stand for Berlin, the name of the capital, and ultimately the name of the airport. That's special. And when you get something special, it's always good for the brand in terms of being able to stand out.
With the code settled, one of the major decisions to be made was the color of the resulting logo. It had to be vibrant, reflecting the new Berlin's reputation. The makers agreed on a combination of bright red on a burgundy background. Then it was up to the design team to find a font, both for the logo and for the signs all around the airport. All the curves and corners would have an impact on the airport's character.
Each font is different to the next, like faces are too. There are old fonts and new fonts. Some faces are wrinkly, some are younger. So in that sense, there's scope for the same kind of variety that you also have with faces.
Anne Kohlemann found inspiration while out walking in Berlin from the city street signs. She used their distinctive style as a reference point. The new airport and its logo are in a way representatives of Berlin, just like its existing landmarks.
Take the logo. There's something very direct about it. It's typically German and typical for Berlin.
The Eigestalt designed over 200 pictograms in total, and they'll be the first thing that millions of passengers see when they arrive in Berlin.
Well, if you're ever lucky enough to visit Sweden, then you'll want to bring back one of its most popular souvenirs, a Dala horse like this one. The surprising thing is that although tens of thousands of them are made every year, some of them only millimeters high and some of them many meters tall, they don't come off a production line. Every single one is still handcrafted and painted, just as they have been since the 17th century. Euromaxx has the lowdown on this rather unexpected national symbol.
You'll see plenty of elk crossings in Sweden. But Sweden is also horse country, if you mean Dala horses. The painted wooden statuettes get their name from the central province of Dalarna, where they're made. The small village of Nusnäs is a traditional centre of Dala horse carving. Except for the introduction of a bandsaw in the 1920s, the Granäs workshop hasn't changed its methods for hundreds of years. After the contours of the horse have been sawn out of pine or alderwood, the figures are carved by hand. Volker Snees has been carving Dala horses since he was 13. He's carved an estimated 15,000 of them.
As long as I have a sharp knife and good wood, the work is fun. Then it's pure enjoyment.
The traditional red statuettes were invented in Dalarna in the 17th century. That's no coincidence. In this logging region, horses were the most important working animals. So, in the long winter months, the men would whittle small models of their horses as toys for their children. The figurines made their international breakthrough about 60 years ago.
It was at the 1939 New York World Fair. The Swedish architect who designed her country's pavilion loved Dala horses and had a giant one placed at the pavilion's entrance. The international press reported that it must be a symbol of Sweden.
A proper Dala horse never leaves the factory naked. It's dipped in water-based paint. Red is the traditional colour, and it still sells the best, even though the figures have now long been painted in all sorts of other variations. Each one gets the same treatment. Irregularities are corrected and carefully smoothed out. When the second coat of paint has dried, the ornamental oil painting still has to be done. And that's an art in itself. At Granäs and Nusnäs, 10 women decorate the Dala horses according to historical designs. Birgit Johansson probably holds the unofficial world record in Dala horse painting. She started here when she was 14. She can paint the patterns in her sleep and long ago mastered the technique of painting with 2 colours on a single brush.
I've been doing this for 50 years now, but how many horses have I painted? No idea.
It could well be about 1 million by now. The finished Dala horses are sold next door in the shop. They're among the most popular Swedish souvenirs. Every year the company sells its entire production, about 100,000 statuettes. Asia has become a major market.
Tradition is important to us. We're proud to have maintained our traditions and old-fashioned methods here.
The most popular sizes are between 2 centimetres and 50 centimetres in height. But there are much, much smaller ones, as woodcarver Volker Snees demonstrates. But the world's biggest Dalar horse wasn't carved at all. It stands next to the motorway in Dalarna, is 13 metres tall and made of concrete.
He's certainly quite a sight. Well, before we sign off, a quick reminder that you can find all of those reports on our website at dw-world.de/English/Euromaxx-highlights. And on that note, our time is up. So until we meet again, alles Gute aus Berlin and tschüss.